Welcome to the Paint Center. Today I will explain to you how to use tempera cakes. Tempera cakes are located on the bottom shelf of the paint cart and they are sorted into 3 different color combinations. At cleanup time, please be sure to return the paint tray to the correct basket. Tempera cakes are washable paint, but they start as a solid substance. In order to use them, you will need to tickle the paint awake with some cold water at your paint station. So, to paint in the center, you'll need to choose 1 or more trays. Carry that over to your workspace. You will also need to gather a bowl of water, the container of sponges for tapping off extra water, and you'll need a piece of paper. Please choose level 2 paper because that is thick enough to hold water without tearing. In the corner of the paper, be sure to pencil in your name and class code before starting. Then flip your paper over so that your name is not hidden underneath all of the paint. There are 2 ways to go about using tempera cakes. One is to jump right in with the paint, and the other is to sketch out a design. Be aware that you will need to sketch lightly. This paint will not hide pencil marks very well, so the lighter you draw, the less visible those pencil marks will be. You will also need paintbrushes for this job. The paintbrushes are located on the back side of the paint cart. And the brushes that work best are camel hair brushes. There are 2 containers of those this year. There's this set that has a brownish colored handle, and it tends to have a smaller brush tip. And then right next door is another basket of camel hair brushes. These ones have a black handle and an assortment of brush size tips. I grabbed 2 for today's painting, and I want to use the right brush for the job. So big brush, big spaces, little brush, little spaces. In order to activate the paint, I need to wake it up with water. So I will begin by getting my brush wet and getting a little bit of that clean water right here on the paint. Tickle the brush until your color is visible on the paintbrush, and then you are ready to come to the paper and fill in a space. I have drawn just a really simple image today for purposes of this demonstration. When you begin painting, you might want to spend a little bit more time generating an idea that will hold your interest and challenge you, as well as your painting skills. When I'm ready to switch colors, I need to rinse my brush off, and I can tap it on the sponge just to make sure that I got all of the color off. Please note that these sponges are not for cleanup, they're just for extra water. So when I'm ready, I'll choose a new color. Perhaps this time I wake up the blue, and I come to my paper and I start to add that to my picture. You'll notice that I'm doing any color blending right here on the paper. As long as the paint is wet, the colors will mix together. Once again, I can come over here, wash my brush. Perhaps I want to paint something different, so I'll wake up yet another color. And then I could paint another image. This time, if I would rather not draw a shape with a pencil, I can just do it directly on the paper. In order to keep the paint trays clean, make sure that you are mixing color on the paper and not here on the paint trays. You'll notice that this white color is a little bit on the dirty side. So if that happens to any of my colors, the best solution is for you to actually just clean it by rinsing your brush in the water and putting clean water right back on top until you can get the color cleaned out. So you'll just go back and forth from the water bowl to the paint tray to get it clean. If it's especially bad, you can ask Mrs. Cutterly for assistance, or we might even take a wet paper towel to help wipe off some of the extra color there that doesn't belong. At cleanup time, I'm responsible for putting my materials away. The paint trays go back in the baskets on the bottom shelf of the paint cart, making sure that I match up the colors to the correct basket. I need to carry my water and any dirty paintbrushes to the sink area. Paintbrushes can go right here in this dirty brush bin. I don't actually need to wash those. And then I do need to rinse out my container of water and leave it in the drying rack labeled water bowls upside down. Please don't stack them on top of one another. That doesn't allow for airflow and they won't ever dry. Placing them like this will work. This is what I mean by stacking. They won't dry, and sometimes they get suctioned together, which makes it difficult to separate out the water bowls like they already did. So I'll have to get that unstuck after this video. The last thing I need to do is get my artwork onto the drying racks right behind me. Make sure that you use the drying rack that will have your class code on there. And I might need to wipe off the table. Okay, please take a look at your work area. If it's not covered in paint, you don't need to wash it. That's just one extra step that will create more water mess unless you really need to do it. So I can find chamois cloths over here. They're like this orangey yellowish color. Get them wet at the sink and squeeze them out so that no water is dripping. Bring that back to the table area and then only wipe off areas of the table that actually have paint on them. If the whole table is not dirty, the entire table should not be wet. This will enable students to clean up faster and also move on to their studio tracker without having to write on a wet table. This cloth then gets rinsed out at the sink just to get any paint off of it that I wiped up. And it can live right here in the container that I got it from. I hope you enjoy painting today. Thanks for watching.